Hi, scholars. If you're here, it means that you completed all of the nonfiction context clues lesson, practice, and exit ticket. Now we're going to work in a fiction passage and use context clues to figure out unknown words. Remember, unknown means we haven't heard it before. I'm going to model for you with 3 words: gloomy, ecstatic, and scurry, and then you will use the same article to practice and do an exit ticket. Now, in nonfiction texts, we usually use definitions as the clues, where right before or right after the word, the author tells us exactly what the word means. But in fiction texts, there could be definitions sometimes, but more often we have to use our inferencing skills. Remember, inferencing is when we use what we know, our background knowledge, plus the clues in the text. Let's get started. The crab. Saturday was supposed to be a gloomy day. I know that's one of my words, so I'm going to highlight it. But when I woke up, the sun was shining and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. What a great day to go to the beach, I thought. I invited Rebecca to come with me, but instead of being ecstatic about going to the beach, she was unenthusiastic and decided to stay home. Next, I called my cousin Miguel, who was eager to go to the beach. We arrived at the beach and laid out our towels and beach chairs. Miguel saw a crab in the sand and he walked over to it. I thought it would scurry away, but the crab stayed where it was. It wasn't afraid of Miguel at all. At first, I pretended I wasn't interested, but I was curious about the crab. Finally, I walked over to Miguel and the crab. Miguel, that crab is sick. It needs to go back into the water. You need to pick it up and take it into the ocean right now. I thought that Miguel would complain about having to pick up the crab, but he happily took the crab back down to the ocean. We both watched the crab to see what would happen. I was not sure if the crab would be okay. I tried to relax, but I was feeling very anxious. Miguel told me that although this was a new thing for me, he was familiar with crabs, and he was not worried about the crab at all. He told me to stop being so impatient. The crab just needed some time to feel better before he swam away. Miguel was right. After a few minutes, the tiny crab began to swim away. I was delighted. This turned out to be a splendid day at the beach instead of a boring day at home. All right. I forgot to highlight my word ecstatic, so let me do that real quick. Now I need to go back and use the clues in the text and my background knowledge to figure out what gloomy means. So right around the text I'm rereading. Saturday was supposed to be a gloomy day, but when I woke up, the sun was shining and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. What a great day to go to the beach, I thought. Okay, well, she thought it was supposed to be gloomy. It says when she woke up, the sun was shining and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. There's a key word here, but. So that means what happened is different than what she thought was going to happen. She thought it would be a gloomy day, but actually what happened is the sun was shining and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. So since she used the word but, I know that the sun shining and there not being a cloud in the sky, that's the opposite of what a gloomy day would look like, because she thought it would be gloomy, but she looked in the sky and the sun is shining and there's no clouds. So if gloomy is the opposite of sun shining, no clouds in the sky, I have to think, what would that mean? Well, let me go over to my graphic organizer and write my clues. I'm going to put the word but so I remember that it's the opposite of this. The sun was shining. No clouds in the sky. Okay, so if gloomy is the opposite of that, then I think that gloomy means cloudy sky with no sunshine. Let's try ecstatic. I'm going to read the sentences around ecstatic. I invited Rebecca to come with me, but instead of being ecstatic about going to the beach, She was unenthusiastic and decided to stay home. Okay. I'm looking at the text. I see the words but instead. So it seems like it says, but instead of being ecstatic about going to the beach, so we've got that but, so we know she was not ecstatic, but she was described as unenthusiastic, and we know that Rebecca decided to stay home. Well, I know that enthusiastic means excited, so unenthusiastic means not excited, and that's what Rebecca was. And Rebecca stayed home. I'm also going to put the words but and instead in my clue box because those words are the words that told me that Rebecca was not ecstatic, but she was unenthusiastic and decided to stay home. So what could ecstatic mean if it's the opposite of unenthusiastic and deciding to stay home? Also, if I invited a friend to the beach and I'm really excited about the beach, I would expect them to be excited. So I think that ecstatic could mean that they are enthusiastic. So, like, they would have been enthusiastic to go to the beach or excited. Okay, now let's do the last one, scurry. I'm going to highlight the word in the text and reread the sentences around it. Miguel saw a crab in the sand and he walked over to it. I thought it would scurry away, but the crab stayed where it was. It wasn't afraid of Miguel at all. Again, I see that word but. I'm going to write it because that means what she thought happened did not happen. She thought it would scurry. So we know scurry means to not stay where it was. So it stayed still. The crab stayed still. So that's a clue. There we go. So if I put those clues together, knowing that she thought the crab was going to scurry away, but it stayed where it was, the opposite of staying where it was would mean that it would be running away. So I think that scurry means, I'm gonna erase that and say that scurry means to run away. All right, so I used the words around the word I was trying to figure out, the context clues, and I used what I knew in my brain to figure out what these three words mean. The next thing that we're going to do is the practice.